got about halfway to my car from the street, again, behind the houses in a dark area, I heard him say, "You got a problem?" And I turned around and I saw him. I reached for my pocket and I was looking for my phone, and he just punched me in the nose. And I fell backwards to the side, somehow I ended up on my back.
Welcome back. My co-host this evening is Jenny Hutt. Trayvon Martin's death has had a nationwide impact. No matter what you think of George Zimmerman, the man charged with second-degree murder in this case, this is still a very galvanizing case about which many people have opinions. Joining us, Mark Eiglarsh, Crystal Wright of conservativeblackchick.com, Michael Skolnick, editor of globalgrind.com. He's on the board of the Trayvon Martin Foundation. And actor Todd Bridges, best known for playing Willis Jackson on the TV sitcom Different Strokes. So Todd, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
People are killed a lot. You know, there's murder in this country, but this case has had special meaning for many people. What does this case mean to you, and why is it so important?
Well, for me, I think I'm trying not to take the racial approach to it. I want to take the approach for what it's really meant about. I think that this guy had something up his sleeve, and he basically would have done this to just about anybody who would have been in the area at the time. He had a chip on his shoulder, and he had planned on doing something to anybody who was in his neighborhood who he didn't want. And I think that he's changed his story a few times, and the bottom line is that I like how he says that Trayvon Martin approached him, but I know for good and well he was following Trayvon Martin around, and then when you approach somebody and scare someone, someone's going to go into defensive mode automatically.
Yes.
And for me, it shocks me how he's trying to get us to believe that Trayvon Martin approached him.
Well, the fear on both sides is what I find interesting. Crystal, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to agree with Todd in that I think that George Zimmerman was aggressive in that he, after talking to the police dispatcher, the 911 dispatcher, he pursued Trayvon. However, I'm going to disagree in saying that we know this, we know that. What we know is there's a lot of evidence to support both the argument that George Zimmerman made that Trayvon Martin hit him and pursued him because George Zimmerman had bruises on him. But what bothers me about this case, and we know the phone record of Trayvon Martin's girlfriend, the voice message, I think the voicemail that was left on her phone or something, you know, around that. But what bothers me and really troubles me is none of us would be talking about this case if George Zimmerman was black. We wouldn't be talking about it. I think about all the real problems of blacks killing blacks in cities like Chicago and D.C. where I live, and we don't see Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton coming out in outrage and trying to turn a moment into a movement. So I think that what needs to happen here is we need to stop racializing this case. We need to let justice take place and let it happen. I mean, that's what really troubles me as a human being.
Gotcha.
I don't think anybody, I don't want any young person to lose their life.
All right, well, Mark, hang on. Michael, I got to go to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I constantly hear these conservative folks talking about racializing this case. I'm white. I think Trayvon Martin was innocent. I think he is the victim.
Good for you.
I think George Zimmerman murdered Trayvon Martin, okay? And there are many white folks in the jury room, in the courtroom yesterday when I was in Sanford, who said, I think he's guilty too. A white guy got kicked out of the courtroom today as a potential juror. He thought he was guilty. It wasn't just black people marching for Trayvon Martin around this country. It was whites, Latinos, Asians, blacks, young people, old people. 2.2 million people signed a petition in favor of getting George Zimmerman arrested.
Todd, you told our producers that you worried about your son. Why is that?
Well, because my son's a black male and he walks around, and it's very frightening because they always assume, like when one black person does something, they lump us all in together, that we've all done it. And I've noticed that when I've walked in stores before, people follow me around the stores and think that I'm going to steal or I'm going to do something. And to me, it's atrocious in this country, and I think that we all should be treated equally.
All right.
I just want to be treated like everybody else.
Fair enough. Next, did a potential juror in the Zimmerman trial have a bias? We have some breaking news about what the judge wanted to investigate and wanted to know. Back after this. Welcome back. I'm with my co-host Jenny Hutt, and I want to go out to a tweet. I think this sort of might capture the view of the viewers. It is from Ronnie_Clickfield. Before we decide the verdict, we have to hear the evidence. This is not about race. It is about finding out who was the aggressor. And we have other issues that are just breaking in this case. The judge in the Zimmerman case summoned a potential juror back to the courtroom after attorneys had finished questioning him, and then she asked if he was the author of this Facebook post. Quote, "Justice," unquote, "is coming. The Seminole County justice system needs an enema, and they might just get one." It's believed that the person was one of the 4 potential jurors dismissed today. The court, of course, will not confirm that. Mark, this is exactly what you brought up last night with the idea of stealth jurors, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was in the courtroom yesterday, and there was one juror in particular. My personal feeling was the only thing missing was that person turning to the side that I thought that they were supporting and giving him a little wink. I have very strong concerns that a miscarriage of justice would take place because people are saying merely what they think everybody wants to hear, but have deeply rooted feelings on how the outcome should be.
Crystal,
and
your
by the way, I
thoughts?
got to say one thing about
Yes,
race
go,
also.
please.
Let me just say about race. This trial is about race, whether you like it or not, because prosecutors have charged this as a second-degree murder, which means ill will, hatred, or spite was in the mindset of Zimmerman when he killed Trayvon. Also, in the arrest affidavit, it's alleged that he profiled Trayvon. The inference is not that he profiled him because he didn't like the candy he was carrying, but because of what he was wearing and what he looked like. Race is going to be a part of this trial.
Well, Todd, I want to go back over to you then. How do we get everybody to digest this in a way that's healthy?
Well, I think the best healthy way to digest this is that we have to look at the psychology of this guy. He was set out that night because 911 even told him not to pursue this person. And he pursued his own because he wants to be a tough guy. I'm running, this is my neighborhood. And I really believe that no matter who was in those clothes, no matter who was walking looking like that, because I got just as many white friends who get pulled over who dress like black guys or dress like gang members who get pulled over as anybody.
All right,
So
Michael, I see you, Michael, shaking your head no, but I saw Crystal shifting out of her skin. Crystal, go ahead.
Yeah,
We got less than a minute.
something. Yeah. Well, Michael, I think it's really interesting that at one point, Michael is indignant about being in the courtroom and seeing the bias of jurors saying anything to get on a panel. And then the next minute, he's already convicted George Zimmerman,
hold
right?
on,
so
let's
it's
let him
okay for
respond.
Michael to have bias with there.
I'm sorry.
No, wait a minute.
I've limited time, Crystal, go.
Race is a part of it.
Okay, Michael, go.
No, race
20
is a
seconds.
part of it.
I love my man Todd. I grew up watching Todd. I love you, Todd, but I'm going to disagree with you on this one. If I was walking through Sanford, Florida that night with a hoodie on and a pair of Timbs and a pair of jeans on, George Zimmerman would not stop me, and simply he would not stop me because I am white.
There you guys. That's it. Last call after this.
Oh, no.
But I have another question for you, Dr. Drew,
Please.
which is we talk about how to talk to kids about all the horrible stuff that's going on in the news.
I'll be doing that on Raising America tomorrow morning, but go ahead.
Okay, but wait, how about talking to the moms? Because we're all worried that our boys are going to date girls like Jody, our girls are going to wind up with guys like Brooks, and whoever gender neutral is going to be in a hoodie and potentially get shot. I've had it.
Well, there's a lot packed into that, and it's funny you would bring it up because in our green room, Todd and Anahita and a couple of people were standing around talking about how Todd, a adult male, and Anahita, both an adult female, have to be careful out in the world again. This feels to me like, maybe we're just reporting on it more and we're getting jaded by all this, but it feels the way, like in the 70s when crime started coming up again, it became, you have to watch it, look over your back. I hope we're not getting to that again. I really not. But caveat emptor, I mean, people need to be careful, especially with their kids. You're right. Listen, I don't know what to tell the moms to reassure them, except that most of the things that we report here are pretty rare. Pretty rare.
Right.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you all my panelists, of course, my guests. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.